What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hoof podcast, live on Tuesday night. As you can see, Sterling is out tonight. We have the next best thing lined up. We all know Joe Miller.
Wow, the next best thing. Wow.
Next best thing. Contributor, to say the least, at Buffalo Rumblings. Host of the Overreaction podcast. Host of the Hump Day Hotline. Host of Off Tackle with John Fina. And host of Time to Shine live on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Ooh, you are a busy guy. No wonder we haven't had you on the show in a while.
My wife hates me.
Yeah. Every night he's got something going on.
You go into the season and you're like, okay, the Time to Shine show is going to write itself because I'm just going to bring people on. I'm going to do a little bit of monologuing and I'm going to prepare in case nobody comes on. But by and large, like the show's going to write itself. Overreaction, I have to do some work, but it writes itself, right? Fina, it's Fina, right? He's going to do it. And then Jay Spencer King, it's like, how could you not want to do that? And then like literally you get halfway through the season, you're like, it's a lot. Like it's
I think I'm doing a little much.
I thought my wife was
always
mad
great
at me. I mean, we narrowed it down to one night now. That's pretty good, but occasional guest appearance somewhere. But
thank you guys for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. What's going on, Richard? Roman, welcome to the show. You guys are always here. Appreciate the love. Reptile.
Heyo.
Joseph, what's going on? Men in the Kitchen. Says Mafia family, nice. What up?
Nice. I cook. Do you guys cook?
A little bit.
I leave that up to the wife mostly, but yeah,
and you're a scientist.
I know.
Like cooking is science.
Correct. I'm such a perfectionist that I'm like, okay, I can't, it's gotta be. I mean, I'm like, okay, 1 cup. No, we measure the 1 cup, not the soup and goat.
So you are an S. Have you ever done Myers-Briggs? So you are an S, a high S, right?
Going deep now. I've done Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. So Myers-Briggs, there's the N. So the second letter is N or S, and N is intuitive, which basically means that I don't need instructions. I don't need directions. Just tell me where to go and I'll get there. S is like, no. I've got to have every step on
line by line.
Yep.
Now, did you cook the turkey for your family?
Who,
me?
Yeah. Both of you.
My stepfather smoked 2 turkey breasts.
Smoked,
they were amazing. Important. But I normally deep fry. What about you, Anthony?
I'm the second youngest of 5 brothers, so my older brother always takes that. So yeah, that's his.
I made the turkey in my household.
Nice.
That tells you who do you trust most with the cooking? Right?
Exactly. My mom does all the cooking, but we split the duties.
Throw up Joseph's last comment. I got something to say.
I can microwave a great burrito.
Hot pocket. Right.
Always solid. Gotta have a couple good burritos on there for emergencies.
I've railroaded your show. I apologize.
It's all right.
Hey, we still got the leftovers in our belly from Thanksgiving, so it's okay.
We've had time to digest, if you will. The game was on Thursday. We had the entire weekend to think about it.
Indeed.
And feeling pretty good. But, first, the Hoof Live brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code COVER1. Deposit $25 and get 10. The season is coming to an end soon. Be sure to get that in as the last chance. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports, including best ball, daily drafts, and pick 'em. Start drafting in minutes for a shot at big cash. All right, so we talked about the game. We'll get to that in a second. I got to hit this topic right here. Cliff Kingsbury, a candidate for the Oklahoma job, fresh off the press.
Wow.
I mean, I did not expect this job to come open this early, right?
Right.
Lincoln Riley headed out to USC. I mean, we don't normally talk about college football, but this I feel like is big news because Cliff Kingsbury, it seems like he's seriously considering it. And the Arizona Cardinals are best team in the league right now, right? Top 3, top in the NFC. I mean, is this going to be a distraction? What do you think, Anthony?
Distraction, yes. Already just saying his name, it means he's going to get this question in press conferences. It doesn't matter if I wrote the story and put it out. If it's already starting to catch fire, people are going to ask him about it. So always a distraction, always. Just like with any coaching candidate, if it were, last year with our offensive and defensive coordinators and they're going off for interviews and they're getting asked questions too, that's always a distraction. Always. So pretty funny to think that a coach could go from what most would call a good, at least, NFL job right now meaning he's in a good position. He's not one of the worst teams in the league. He's got a good quarterback. They're building, they signed a bunch of guys. I'm still not high on them, but the point being, he would go from a good situation in the NFL to college, which is completely different. So there's pros and cons. There's reasons to think about both. The NFL, it doesn't get any bigger than that, but college, there's more money, there's more finagling, there's more control, all of that, right, at the college level. It reminds me of a certain coach in Alabama who used to coach in the NFL, if I remember correctly. Right. Nick Saban, who jilted the Miami Dolphins. Remember that situation? I mean, it was a 1 year and out for him. So we'll see. I mean, this is funny because at the very least, like you said, it definitely causes a distraction.
Yeah, but I think when you look at all these college jobs, USC's a premier job for, obviously, but Oklahoma's got to be really high on the list. Look, you can come in and you can dominate, the conference right away. They're going to get recruits. It seems like they're always good at recruiting in Oklahoma, especially at running back. That's a job to get. What do you think, Joe?
The only reason an NFL head coach goes back to college, and there's only one that's done it. Nick Saban is the guy. And when it happened, I was like, there's no way. There's like when the rumors started floating, there's no way Nick Saban is leaving the Dolphins, premier franchise in the NFL, to go back to college. I don't care what the school is. And then he did it. To me, that spells this job is too big for me. All that says is this job is too big for me. And
Take your opportunities.
Urban Meyer's going through it right now, right? Urban Meyer's like, oh my God, this is like playing Alabama every single week. If Cliff Kingsbury does this, he is just announcing to the world, not that college is better. I took one of the top 10 jobs in college. He's saying the NFL is too hard for me, and I can't deal with this. Because when we hear about what these guys go through. So even our head coach and our coaching staff, which game was it? It was one of the games. It was a primetime game. It was either Sunday night or a Monday night game. One of the last ones they had. They got in and they asked McDermott, so did you get any rest? I think it was Perino asked him. He's like, nope. Went from the plane right to the office, doing game study, getting ready for Sunday. And college isn't that way. Like college doesn't really roll that way. Like if you remember Malarkey was the guy that famously said, we're not going to sleep in the office. We're not going to sleep on the couch. We're going to go home at night. Malarkey didn't last either. To me, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think because he's got a playoff football team. He's not leaving Arizona to go to Oklahoma. I think if there's a conversation, it's about Chip Kelly dipping Notre Dame to go to freaking LSU before
that's a story too. Yeah.
Like you got a playoff team, you're going to LSU, like
crazy.
Yeah.
That one surprised me too. I was like, huh? But that was shocking. But I don't
similar money.
that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what they offered him or anything like that. But
it's
kind of a weird move.
It's not official. It's a rumor still, right?
Is it official? I don't know because he's allegedly not coaching them, right? He's not coaching them in the playoffs.
It's not official. I don't think it's been announced, but I think it is like an official rumor.
I just don't.
Right?
I don't.
Like if Adam Schefter puts it out, it's like a done deal. But
I'm reading today why it happens. Everybody's like recruiting because of the recruiting. I'm like, he's got a freaking playoff team at Notre Dame. Like, is it Rudy? Like, is it Notre Dame like one of these schools? If you bring Notre Dame back, isn't that more prestigious than going to LSU?
That's what I thought too. I mean, I don't get it. He wants to be in warmer weather, right? I guess
you got to play the SEC. You got to play Alabama every year.
And if you've ever been to South Bend, Indiana, I mean,
it's tough.
It's kind of nothing around there, nothing to grow, nothing. But you're right in terms of reputation and all that.
But
I don't get it.
But they're also not in a division, so they can play whoever they want. He can set a schedule up however he wants to set it up, right?
You could play Navy every year if you want.
Right.
Easy one. Anyway, enough college football. We'll wait till next week when Sterling gets back because we got to talk about Michigan, right? Beating Ohio State.
Time out. Justin Plentnikoff. It's all about the prestige, money, and control in college. Very lucrative for some people. NFL head coaches are making $10 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
now it's
that was Gruden making $10 million a year, right?
Well, but he's not the only one. We don't know what McDermott's making. It's rumored that he's making between 7 and 8. Like, don't talk to me about how lucrative college head coaches are making. Like NFL coaches are making bank, especially if they're good. Like they're making bank.
You don't have to win, right? A lot of pressure in college,
unless you're an OSU head coach or a Michigan head coach.
Right.
I had a long diatribe on Twitter. So I'm not necessarily a Buckeye fan. I lived in Columbus for 13 years. My wife graduated from OSU. My daughters were born at OSU Hospital. So I have a rooting interest, if you would, in OSU. I'm not a Michigan fan at all. I got in an argument with people on Twitter because I basically said, how many years does this win over OSU by Jim Harbaugh? And like, people are like, what are you talking about? Like, he's a 10-win season coach. I was like, yeah, but he doesn't beat OSU. Like, people don't understand that.
Doesn't
rivalry.
make the playoffs. Doesn't make anything.
Right. He's held accountable for that.
Cooper got fired. Cooper got fired from OSU because he could not beat Michigan. And 17 years of head coaches have been fired from Michigan because they can't beat Ohio State. Like, literally that, like, when I lived in Columbus. So what do? Like, the NFL, like, Super Bowl rolls around and the supermarket no longer has beer, no longer has pop, no longer has chips. In Columbus, Ohio, that's the Ohio State-Michigan game. When that game is about to be played, the city shuts down. That is their Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl doesn't mean anything really in Columbus. So it's just funny to me how it changes. But yeah, like, those two schools, that is the game. And if you don't,
especially this year, because I mean, one team's going to the college football playoff, likely the other's not.
Right.
When you're
So
talking
it was
about that
literally
conference.
like that's the game for them, right?
Yeah. So sorry.
For Ohio State, season's over, literally.
Right. And it doesn't matter if you win 10 games. If you didn't beat Michigan or you didn't beat Ohio State.
Yeah, that's why I've never gotten to the college thing. Maybe it's because Syracuse has been, we need to.
Years, but Dino Babers sticking around. New offensive, defensive coordinator, but
right.
Rough year for Dino Babers.
SUNY Morrisville has never been really that great.
This is the most I've ever talked college football ever.
I know.
I had to do it.
We're 10 minutes in and it's all college football. We like it.
All right. Let's move on to this. I thought this was interesting. The NFL draft order after 12 weeks. And you got to look deep here. There's a lot of New York teams in there. They're doubling up this year. Number 1, Lions, 2, Texans, 3, the Jaguars. Yeah. Number 4 is the Jets from the Seahawks, the Jamal Adams trade.
Yeah.
Jets have 5, and then you have the New York Giants at 6, and the New York Giants again at 7.
That's incredible.
And then you have the Eagles, and number 9 is the Eagles again from the Dolphins trade, and then number 10 is the Panthers. Is that the craziest draft order you've seen in a few years?
I did not realize this until you just put this up now, but that is pretty wow. I mean, you would think that the odds of that happening are like 1 in a trillion or something, but it's happening because these teams suck, and so do the teams that they traded for these picks, right? I mean, probably the most surprising for me is that at number 1 is the Lions. I mean, most of us thought that would be Houston or the Jets. And if you ask me, the Lions are not the worst team in football in terms of their roster and where they currently stand. That would fall on the Houston Texans for me, and then maybe the Jets, and then maybe the Lions. So if you're the head coach of the Lions, you got to feel pretty good right now. You're like, hey, we suck, but we're in great position to get better. However, you look at a team like the Jets, that one scares me the most because they're in our division, and now they got 2 top 5 picks. That's incredible. If they can't
get hit on those picks.
That. Well, I talked about how to work out for Miami.
I know, right? I talked about this last year.
Speaking of Lions, that quarterback.
The benefit of that for that team is they got 2 picks in the top 5. One of them could disappear forever and be the biggest bust. As long as one of them works out and is like the guy for you, you're good. And when you have 2 shots at it, hell, you could roll a dice and get it right at that point if you're talking top 5 guys in the draft that you're picking. So hopefully, I mean, as a Bills fan, that worries me because the Jets are up there in the top 5 twice, but not in the short term. Obviously, we're thinking, 3 years down the line type of thing. Although some of those top picks could have an impact right away. And the Giants, having 2 picks, that helps them, but they haven't been able to figure things out yet. So who knows where they're
at. Have a new GM coming in there. So very interesting.
The question is what the hell is going on with the Lions?
Yeah. And the Lions can't win, man. They can't win.
What's going on with the Seahawks? Like,
right.
Russell Wilson is a shell of himself, and his head coach is now like talking out against him. Like, we're leaving a lot of plays out on the football field. It's like, whoa.
They went a little too thin on talent, right? They fell for that trap. Their defense is just not talented.
Well, they went all in on a guy like Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams is good.
Yeah.
But
Can we just
they're giving up more yards than any other team on defense?
Can we just broach the reality that the Bills were thin on talent last year on the defense as well and made it the AFC Championship game?
Yeah.
I mean, just like let's talk like.
I mean, and Pete Carroll's been successful, right? It doesn't last forever that way. You have to retool.
Pete Carroll's awful. He's you're talking about a head coach that literally was like, well, they ran the ball more than if they had run the ball, we'd have shut them down. Last year against the Bills. Like he did the same thing Robert Saleh did. Robert Saleh in his whole comment about like, well, Josh Allen's a great wildcat quarterback. Like he reminds us of Cam Newton. It's like, what football games are you watching? Like that was 2020. It's like whatever. So I'm sorry. I digress.
Those coaches for you. You got to play the people who are in front of you. But in this case, I'm happy we play coaches like that who don't know what's going on common sense wise in the NFL. Because I'll take that matchup.
They know now.
They definitely know now.
They know now. Yeah.
Yeah, Miami's on a win streak too.
Yeah, nobody's sleeping on the Buffalo Bills anymore. So
anyway, next topic here, Thanksgiving recap. Bills 31, Saints 6. Josh Allen gets his turkey, as we predicted. Something about Thanksgiving. I think the guy just likes playing on Thanksgiving. Family's there again, Josh Allen. This is a game they're supposed to win, right? You're supposed to have 4 touchdowns against a team who has 10 starters out.
Yes,
all on offense.
The defense is supposed to play well against a backup quarterback in Trevor Siemian. There's good backup quarterbacks out there. I don't think he's one. Right? This team had a 3rd-string running back, and this is a run team. Like Alvin Kamara usually he's the whole playbook, right? And Michael Thomas is out. He's been out most of the year or all year. So this is a game you're supposed to win. It was fun. I think it was fun for the family. Staying up late and things and getting all excited and all that stuff, but it wasn't really a satisfying win for me, to be honest with you. It doesn't really help our playoff chances being an NFC game. I mean, obviously you got to keep pace with the Patriots, with the Chiefs, the Ravens, but this is a team you're supposed to beat by 30 points. If we're talking number 1 seed, that's what we're supposed to do.
I don't know. I don't know if we're talking number 1 seed anymore. That's for sure.
Get to that later.
Not with how we look. But anyway, I agree with you. We talked about this last week on the Hoof, right? This was a get-right game. That's it. This is a team where you are better than them in any way, shape, and form. You're probably better than them if you walk backwards on the field. Your roster is that much better. The Bills over the injury-prone or injury-riddled New Orleans Saints in this case. Heck, even if they were at 100%, we'd probably still be the better roster by far. But in this case, we did what we had to do. You go in there and you beat them up all over the field. There were still things that I saw that I did not like, that I'm not happy with. But I'm happy with the return of Tremaine Edmonds. That's for sure. I'm super happy to see Tremaine Edmonds and Starback moving forward because I don't like what the defense does without those two. The defense, like you said, they've been doing this all year, except for in the Indy game, 6 points, even in the game we lost 9 points, right? That's what the defense does when they're playing well. And that's what we expect them to do. The offense looked better. Yeah. Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns. We were able to run the ball more effectively, got the ball to Breida instead of Singletary. Moss was inactive.
I think I saw a little bit of a run game in there.
Yeah. Right. It looked like, hey, they at least had to, it was a
Joe,
threat.
I said a little bit.
It's really pathetic that it comes in the form of Matt Breida. Agreed, but
what did they both average? What did they both average yards per carry? What did they both average yards per carry? Both of them did the same number.
Yeah.
2.9.
Yeah. 2.9. Gross. Yeah.
It's about average for the Bills right now.
Yeah, it's especially that when that looks dynamic, you're in trouble. But he at least looked better on the field than the other two.
Well, I think the better way to say it is,
few touches, and
I saw some unique run plays called.
Exactly. There's more dynamics you can do. The benching of Isaiah McKenzie, that's a huge story that, I want to hear what you guys think. But to me, that's over. That's over, right? You keep those two overpaid. Well, in the case of you keep those two guys on the bench for sure. Isaiah McKenzie isn't overpaid because he doesn't get paid much, but he belongs on the bench. That's it. His job is done. McDermott already showed doubt in him, and then he did what he did in the Indy game. And now Marquez Stevenson comes in and doesn't screw up. That's all he had to do. And if the job is his, he did not screw up. In fact, he looked smart out there. He looked good out there. I think they could use him more in the dynamic plays on offense. Now you have a guy like Matt Breida who can do some of the same things that Isaiah McKenzie does in terms of the trick plays on offense. So I don't know if he finds a way back on the field after this. So McKenzie's in
Yeah.
trouble, but it's a better thing for the Bills. You did the right thing. McDermott doesn't often do this. It usually takes him way too long to do something like this because he shows a lot of confidence in the guys on his 53-man roster and who he believes are the starters and all that. And I'm glad he did, because I kept saying, like, you got to change things up. Vernon Butler, not getting it done. Just get him off the field. Just sit on the bench, buddy, and we'll let anybody else come in and try it out, because you know, you weren't being effective when you were out there. And in fact, you were causing problems like the fumbles, like the penalties and all that mess.
Stevenson, 0 fair catches.
Yeah, because he made the right
we
decision.
We just don't know enough, right?
He made the right decision.
No fumbles is the biggest thing. We'll see. You know me, I don't like rookies being in the big spot unless they're top 10 picks or something like that. But I mean, a guy like Stevenson, like from what we've seen in the preseason and just these 5, punt returns, you're right. He does look confident. He looks like he could be a valuable asset to the team, but the mistakes are coming, right? The biggest stages.
Get out of here.
Look, it happens.
Okay, yeah, Tyler Bass too, right? Right, Eric?
What is the occurrence?
You're hating on the rookies?
Yes. I'll give you Tyler Bass, okay? He proved me wrong. Joe, what are your thoughts on the game?
I think the defense did what it was supposed to do. I think anytime the offense is on the football field and they're, it's questionable as far as the philosophy, in my opinion, is completely changed in 2021 versus 2020, which begs the question. And I've asked this to Fina. I've asked it to Bruce Nolan and Nate Gary. I've asked it to several people. In 2020, the Buffalo Bills defense was paper thin. They were garbage. And the coaching staff knew that. And from the get-go of every single game, they basically, from a philosophical standpoint, pushed the chips in the middle of the table and said, we got to outscore everybody we play. And they did it. Mm-hmm. This year, they've been very conservative. McDermott has done some very strange things offensively. Just sometimes the play calling is very strange. They're not, it almost, as much as we have heard the storyline and we all bought into it, we just want to be more efficient on, like, with the run game. We don't want to run more. We just want to be more efficient. Well, they've run more and they've been less efficient. Like, they're either equal to or worse than they were last year, but they continue to try to pound the rock. My question is with Tre'Davious White, the second best player on this football team, out, are we back in a chips in the middle of the table like situation again? Are they going to come out against the Patriots and be like, we got to go pedal to the metal? Like, we got to push the gas to the floor because we're going to have to outscore everybody we play, or at least try to score. And the hard part about this whole conversation is the Bills are averaging like 30 points a game. So I get it all the time. People are like, Joe, you're being a little harsh. They're averaging 30 points a game. And it's like, but they can't, like, they don't, when they need it, they don't have it. Like, they're getting 30 points, but it's against the Jets. It's against
expectations are super high.
Right.
The standard's way high.
It's against a team that doesn't have a quarterback, doesn't have 2 running backs, doesn't have any wide receivers, doesn't have a tight end, is missing 3 offensive linemen. Like, scoring, I mean, so this game, I don't even know that I buy into the get right narrative as much as I appreciate what you said, Anthony. Is it getting right against the Jets?
Exactly.
And then you get your ass handed to you against the Colts, and then you get right 100%. Against the Saints? Or are those just garbage football teams? Get right, to me, a get right game is beating the Patriots, right? 27-10. That to me is a get right game.
For sure.
That's how I feel about this football game.
AK Cash, appreciate the super chat. It says Josh McDaniels is making our offense look like a toddler is running it for real. Look like a toddler is running it for real. I don't quite disagree. I look at the Patriots and go, I don't understand how you can just insert a rookie quarterback and just have production like you've been having, right? Not a lot of mistakes for the Patriots, and look, they're putting up 30 points a game as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't do anything really all crazy. It's just they confuse defenses, right? They draw you in on the short passes and they take shots deep. It's the delayed screens that we've seen in New England for years. That's Josh McDaniels' whole offense. And, Mac Jones and Tom Brady, I think they're similar in style of play. It's quick release, quick decision-making. And you're seeing that, it's been effective for years. And I think you're just seeing that carry over. So don't quite disagree with that. Don't like it, but I'm not going to disagree.
I
Anthony,
disagree. I absolutely disagree. No offense, AK Cash. Thank you again for the super chat. But I don't understand the grounds for this comment at all. I mean, yes, sometimes I question Brian Daboll and the Bills' play calling on offense because, when you're in the red zone and it's 2nd and 7 and you run the ball up the gut for half a yard, I'm cursing you out and saying, why are you wasting a play? And you do it 100 times in 8 games, and all you get is a half a yard every single gosh dang time, and yet you continue to do it. It's stupid at that point. Stop being stupid. It doesn't work. And even though you try it a million times, it's still not working. Stop calling it and actually maybe attempt to pass on 2nd and 7 or roll out and do something else. Anyway, I digress there. But the point is, although I question their offense, we're still averaging 30 points a game. We still do what we got to do on offense for the most part. It's just been a game here or there where we've really looked terrible. Look at all last year. To say that Josh McDaniels doing well with New England against the opponents they've played and comparing that to us, yes, they've definitely impressed me. They've done better than I thought they were going to do. But I don't think it's some magical play calling, and we're going to get deeper into this when we talk about New England. But
well, define magical. Define magical. The problem with what you're saying is as much as they're scoring 30 points, they're not scoring at will, and they're not scoring when they need to.
They're not finishing either.
They're not finished. They're not. I think they've got 3 losses where they've been down by less than 1 score. They haven't been able to come back from that. This is a very different offense, and I think to this point, as far as I agree and disagree with AK Cash's comment here, what Josh McDaniel and the Belichick teams have always been very good at is bringing in guys that can play the scheme they want to run, and they are a dominant and always have been a dominant run football team. They will destroy you on the ground if you give them the chance to. They've done it. I mean, think back to Ben Jarvis Green Ellis's first game. I remember that game like yesterday. I was like, oh my God, we're going to have to face
You're bringing back the trauma, Joe.
Twice a year for the next 10 years. This guy's amazing. He was garbage, but they just knew how to scheme him. Right. And that's what Brian Daboll and this football team still can't do. Sterling on this show, one of your guys' co-hosts talks about 19 in the pin and pull. And then they went to the zone and the wide zone. And for some reason, and it doesn't work. And they're still trying to run the wide zone. And they're pulling like Butker all over the place. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But they're still trying to force something down on this football team. And I think that's what he means when he says that, like, he's making us look like toddlers. There's a difference between like playing to your strengths and knowing who's on your football team versus this is what I think I want to do, and we're going to do this. And I think that sometimes they get caught up in that. And they do it on defense too. They did it against the Colts. I was livid again in that football game. Jonathan Taylor's got 185 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and you don't ever leave the nickel 4-2. And it's like, and then they question Leslie Frazier on Monday. And he's like, we never thought once about leaving the nickel defense. And it's like,
it's the base defense.
And then you've got other content
down by 40 points. It's time to rethink things.
And then you've got other content creators who I love. And it's like, I would never disparage any of them who say, well, our nickel 4-2 with Taron Johnson might be better than if we ran a traditional 4-3 set with heavier guys. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then why do teams have heavy packages? Like if you're telling me that your defensive backs tackle better than like your linebackers, why have a heavy package? Why, if they're going for 1 yard, why are you bringing in 4 linebackers or 3 linebackers? Because those guys are bigger and they can handle offensive linemen better. So at some point you got to be like, this ain't working. Like we got to get into a 4-3 and then drop a couple safeties down in the box to try to shut this guy down and make that sucky guy Carson Wentz beat us. And they don't. They're stuck in the hole. Like I don't know where I'm at tonight. Like I'm super negative all of a sudden. Like, what is going on?
I think it's just Anthony. He's negative too.
Never. You got the opposite here. Wait till we get on to New England.
That conversation I think you can carry over into this game coming up with the Patriots because again, I think they are very reliant on the run and their run packages. They always have been. They're not a pass first team, and if you can stop the run against New England, I think you shut down their offense for the most part.
But we were
starting on Mac Jones's shoulders in Buffalo on Monday night. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a young player.
We were starting to have the discussion about Trey White. Thank you for that super chat again, and we're going to get back to New England shortly here. But this is obviously the story of the game. The worst thing that could have happened in terms of our defense did. Trey White hurt, out for the season. It's not good for our defense. We've never seen this defense without Trey White. We've never seen what Sean McDermott can do without a top number 1 cornerback, right? He's always had 1 dominant cornerback and one guy who's a scrub that he turns into an average Joe, right? And now he's going to be running. Hey, well, Levi, he's looked good this year, but now he's number one. Is that where you want Levi? I don't. So,
Anthony missed the joke. You said average Joe. That's why I said, hey.
Gotcha.
Next year we're doing redheaded stepchild jokes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, there's no replacing Trey White, and that's the biggest thing I think that the Bills are going to have to deal with moving forward. You're a different team now, as Joe kind of alluded to. You have to score now that Trey White's not there. Your defense, although they're still dominant in a lot of ways, although we still have the best safety tandem in the NFL that can make up for a lot of deficiencies in the backfield that still are a threat to quarterbacks, they're going to pick on whoever is out there as CB2, assuming now Levi would be considered
it's Dane Jackson.
CB1.
Yeah. Dane Jackson's taking over.
Right now, yes, on the roster.
Let's talk about him for a minute.
I think if there's a game, speaking of Dane Jackson, segue, Eric. I think if there's a game that fits what's going to happen for him, it's this one, because the Patriots are going to run the ball, and Dane Jackson is very, very good in run coverage. So we've seen Dane Jackson flash. Aggressive. Yeah, he's aggressive. He's around the ball. He just has a different. It's why we all ask for him over Levi Wallace, because Levi Wallace doesn't flash on the field the way that Dane Jackson does. Now, we don't know the skill sets. We don't know what they're asking of the guys, and we don't know the politics. I'm going to say it because clearly there are politics involved at One Bills Drive. Otherwise, Cody Ford would not still be in the
right. Yeah.
So there's politics. Right. There's politics there as well. So, but I'm excited because this to me is a game because they're not going to go over the top on you. Like we've seen this year that Mac Jones, they're holding the reins on him just like they did with Tom Brady early in his career, like we saw with Roethlisberger early in his career. He's living in that inside a 15-yard space. So Jackson's probably not going to get beat over the top. They're going to keep everything tight, and they're going to run the ball, which fits, in my opinion, his skill set. So if there's a warm-up game, find out where we're at. This might be it. So, but to your point, Anthony, it was solid. We've not seen this defense without Trey White. Like it's
right.
I'm a little butt puckered for sure.
And I think teams will go after Dane Jackson. You got to test him.
Yes, they're going to.
He's only played just a handful of games this
season.
But
the good thing is,
he's appeared in 16 games in his 2-year career. He's only started 2. Right, pretty limited. But I mean, with Trey White, their average depth of target when targeted on defense was 7.4. For Dane Jackson, it's 13.6 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what's that tell you? He's not a speed guy, right? They try to beat him with speed, and that's going to be deeper routes, right? Mm-hmm. So, like Joe was saying, he is good in stopping the run. He's an aggressive player. One thing I saw in Eric Turner's video that was posted earlier today, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's he takes chances. He's a guesser, right?
Yep.
And you're going to win some of those, and you're going to lose some of those. And we saw one of those in New Orleans. Thank God Trevor Siemian overthrew the ball, but definitely Dane Jackson guessed wrong. And the receiver was wide open. I forget his name. I think it's their 3rd or 4th string receiver.
Yeah, they had nothing.
Yeah, luckily it was overthrown. But I mean, that's the stuff you're going to see. Teams are going to see that on film, and I think you're going to see a lot of receivers test Dane Jackson going deep, maybe in some straight line routes.
To break that down, what you just said, because it was perfectly said, Eric. He's a guesser, and the difference is Tre'Davious White is a guesser as well, but Tre'Davious White has the skill set of a 1st round draft pick.
Right.
Dane Jackson has the skill set right now of a 7th round draft pick. So when Tre'Davious White guesses, he's generally right, and he can overcome it if he's wrong. Whereas Dane might struggle.
And we see this with Jordan Poyer. Right, coming up, trying to jump the route. He's got a bunch of interceptions this year doing that. I think he maybe plays back a little bit now with Dane Jackson to help out. You're not going to see that as much because if he misses, it could be a huge play for the offense.
I mentioned that, right? Most of the help at cornerback is the replacement at quarterback, if you will, is our safeties. It's Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. They are going to be playing a bigger role in taking out whatever guy is on their side, right? That's what they have to do, and whatever wide receiver they're keeping their eye on. I saw a comment on this, and I mentioned it. I was on the chop up with Jay Spence and Sterling this weekend, and we talked about the Patriots. I said on the show, the Patriots don't have a dominant number 1 wide receiver, and I think that's when will really get tested when you're facing a true number one wide receiver that is a real threat. And you say, okay, now Levi's got to go against that guy, or maybe you keep him on the same side and maybe Dane's going against him, Levi's going against him. We've seen Dane Jackson flash sometimes. You know, he did against Seattle and DK Metcalf. That was his breakout game where we're like, wow, look at this guy go against one of the best receivers in the league. But as you said, because he's a guesser, you're going to see maybe more picks, more interceptions, but also more big plays given up for easy touchdowns because, you know, the coverage is blown. And hopefully the safeties can make up for some of that, like I said. But that might mean less big plays out of them, too, because they're playing more back to take care of the wide receivers. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if, you know, are we going to see Cam Lewis? I don't know. He's appeared in 6 games, and he's had 3 starts in the last 2 years. He played 100% of snaps versus Houston. Not saying much. They didn't really have an offense that day, but
the other thing I would say as well about this situation is, you know, I'm a betting man, obviously. We'll get into that. But one of the things that I think about with this is how McDermott and Bean have run this team and what their philosophies are. And my betting money is on they're not signing anybody to get playing time. Nobody is going to get signed to this roster and show up on that field. They might make the practice squad. They might sign somebody for depth because you need cornerbacks. That's not what McDermott and Bean do. They believe in the guys on the roster. They believe in the guys on their practice squad. They'll bring up somebody there first before they throw in and say.
They brought up 2 guys. They brought up 2 guys this weekend and sat Vernon Butler. Vernon Butler got benched behind 2 practice squad players.
Exactly, and they played better than him. They played better. It works, but we've never seen that philosophy play out in a position where literally your best defensive guy, the one you depend on, especially in a McDermott-led defense where CB1 is a huge part of what he does on defense. And now, you know, you take that out of the equation, do things change? It's certainly a point of concern, but luckily we know that the Bills have the roster and the ability to, you know, continue moving forward. They're not going to be as dominant without Trey. Maybe the scoreboard looks like it sometimes, but the fact of the matter is you're not shutting teams down. You're not shutting wide receivers down the same way without Trey White on the field. And the McDermott's going to have to adapt. We'll see.
Real quick, Eric. The biggest thing that Bills Mafia has going for us, and this is a false narrative that I want to dispel right now, is this idea that, like, well, the Bills aren't going to be able to, like, shut a number one wide receiver down. Like, Trey White isn't going to be there to basically close the guy out. The Bills don't do that often. The Bills don't really run Trey all over the field. He kind of sticks to his side, and Levi sticks to his side, and they basically play straight up. So this football game, the Patriots don't have 2 good wide receivers. The Bucs game, which I'm going to be at, however, we might be in trouble.
Yeah, they have talent all over the place. And that's a good question. Does Levi Wallace stay on the left side, or does he move to the right side?
No, he probably stays on his side, and then Jackson
does it match up, game by game?
No, I have a feeling they're going to play him straight up, and they're going to give him help, as you guys talked about with both Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer.
Right, I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, worth the conversation. Let's move on to cash or trash.
We're gonna do a little cash or trash. That's trash, bro. I'm gonna go cash on that.
You guys got like cool like intros and stuff. I don't have that stuff.
That one's getting old though.
All I got is this voice.
It's kind of corny, but so I like it.
Hey, I like it. That's a good cash or trash.
Number 1, cash or trash. Joe, how about you go first this time? The Patriots' biggest weapon is Jacoby Myers.
I don't agree. I think that's trash. I think it's Ramondre Stevenson. So I felt it was that way in the beginning of the season, and I think Ramondre Stevenson did something. I don't know what's going, because they're very much about if a guy doesn't do what they ask him to do, he ends up on the pine. But Ramondre Stevenson kind of exploded on the scene in preseason, and then for some reason he rode the pine behind all the other running backs, and now he's getting the football. I think that guy is a potential nightmare for the 4th round pick. I don't know what college he's from, but to me, the biggest
New England, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's him or Hunter Henry. So to me, it's either Ramondre Stevenson or Hunter Henry that the Bills are going to have trouble with.
Yeah, similar stats. On the season, Damian Harris has 154 attempts. Stevenson was 76. Jacoby Myers, 59 receptions. Somebody said Bourne is the biggest weapon. 42 receptions for them. They both have around 620 yards receiving.
Right.
Anthony, what you got? Cash or trash?
trash for me as well. Who's this guy? Jacoby what? How many catches? How many yards?
They spelled his name wrong too. That's Jacoby.
Jacoby. Well, is it? I don't know how he spells it, but either way.
I'm kidding.
Either way, I tell you.
Yeah, you could win that one every time.
I have to say that, I mean, you worry. I don't know who their biggest threat is, especially against this Buffalo Bills team now. But normally I would say if a team's coming in, I'm worried about the tight ends usually, especially when you have two good tight ends. They haven't been using their two tight ends the way I would assume that they could. I think that Hunter Henry is probably the guy that I'm worried about having a big game, that I'm saying, okay, Matt Milano, do your thing, because this is Hunter Henry. This isn't Joe Schmo tight end, right? You gotta focus on that guy. So for me, that's who I'm thinking about. I'm not worried about any wide receiver on this team. Get out of here with that garbage. They're not real wide receivers yet. They got to earn their stripes, and to me, they haven't yet. So I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, and that's almost their strength, is you don't know who the weapon is, right? There's really no target. You have to cover everybody, it seems like. But yeah, I would say Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry right now they're two people I would worry most about, especially in the red zone. Anyway, next one, Anthony, you're up first, and you're gonna hate this. Tom Brady and the Bucs and the New England Patriots are both top 5 teams. Cash or trash? Don't be biased.
What is this, my nightmare land? What the hell kind of question is this?
It certainly backfired on Bills fans.
There is parity in the NFL. There is parity in the NFL. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? You get 12 different answers from 12 different people, literally. And I think that there's an argument to be made for a lot of teams and a lot of reasons. But for me, and for reasons that I always say in the rankings, okay, Tennessee, you have to put them above the Bills. They beat the Bills, whatever. New England is not in the top 5 for me. Not yet. I don't care if they're on a 10-game win streak. Beat the Bills, beat a team that is contending in the AFC that you really have to beat. I want to see that. And then you've earned that top 5 spot. Right now, for me, the Bills are still one of the top teams in the NFL and in the AFC especially, and they're definitely above the Patriots still. I don't care what the division standings say. They haven't played us once, not once. What's their record in the division? What's ours? What's their record in the AFC? What's ours?
They beat Tennessee by more than 20.
Yeah. Without
Tennessee's
anybody.
I know. Okay, I know.
They're pretenders. All of Tennessee's stats are middle of the pack. They're not.
They beat Cleveland by 30 plus.
Cleveland,
hey.
and they're not even in the playoffs right now. So yeah, I mean, again, it's about that. So for me, this is trash because I can't put the Patriots that high yet. If they beat the Bills, sure, they've earned it, but I don't see that happening either. So trash all the way.
Joe, what you got?
So to me, so Anthony's a scientist. So I'm on record. I've said it on my show, or I've said it on Twitter at least, and people there's receipts out there. Like if our Super Bowl in 2021 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New England Patriots, I'm done with the NFL. Like, to me, it's scripted at that point. Like, I don't know, because to me, there's no way that this happens. I mean, it's reminiscent of, where conspiracy theories abound. It's reminiscent of Peyton going to Denver and winning a Super Bowl. The Patriots in 2001 during the Gulf War winning the Super Bowl. The Saints during Katrina winning the Super Bowl. It's like there's just aspects of the NFL. And if this storyline gets written that it's the Bucs and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, which is what everybody wants to see, no, I don't. I want to see the best teams play football. So I don't know where I'm at on this whole thing. I think the Bucs are the Bucs, reigning world champions, and they return 22 of 22 players. Like, to me, the Bucs are the Bucs, and they're a real football team. Mm-hmm. This whole thing that's going on with the Patriots, I don't know where I'm at. I'm not, to Anthony's point, I'm not sold on them yet. If they beat the Bills this weekend, which I've got it about 65-35, the Bills win. I don't think the Patriots are all that yet. So you probably have them at 90-10. I'm at 65% Bills winning this football game, primarily because of some things I've seen from the coaching staff, some execution stuff, and then Trey being out of this football game. But I will say this, like, literally on the Hoof live, maybe I haven't said it live. If I haven't said it live, I'm saying it live now. If we get a Buccaneers Patriots Super Bowl, I'm done.
I might go out with you.
Rigged.
Yeah, for sure. And, one thing we haven't mentioned, if the Patriots are top 5, it's because of their defense. This defense is real. They've won 7 of the last 8 games. I mean, they are number one in the league, and
the defense has always been real.
Points allowed, right? And that's the thing with them.
Always
right?
been real. Yeah,
it's the best defensive coach in the league, and defense does win championships, right? So I think that's still the case. I mean, I think a little while it was Pat Mahomes wins championships.
Our defense.
I think we're back to defense.
Yeah.
It's too bad we don't have a good defense.
Right, but we're number 2 now. They're number 1.
Get out of here.
Right.
How did we hold the team to 6 points and end up in the number 2 spot?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because we gave up 41
they always base it on points allowed, and
after they give up 240 rushing yards on the ground.
I'm telling you, 2 100-yard rushers. Get the hell out of here. That's a good defense
with no Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. They give up. The Bills give up 185 yards.
Bills did play Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry.
185 yards to Jonathan Taylor. It's like, oh my God, the wheels have come off. The Patriots give up 240 something yards to 2 no-name scrubs, and it's like, oh my God, they're Super Bowl. They're like going to Super Bowl. Like, whatever.
Anyway, where are we at now? Joe, back to you. Mac Jones is the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year. Cash or trash?
Pass. I'm not answering that question. That's trash. Rookie of the Year is trash.
Who is the Rookie of the Year?
There's other rookies outplaying him, in my opinion. I mean, the problem is he's not gonna. We're not gonna outlive the glitz and the glamour of it being the New England Patriots. No 100%. Matter what he does, it's the fact that he's playing for. It's what we just talked about. The Patriots gave up 240 something yards to 2 scrubs on the ground, and it didn't even get talked about, right? And that's what it's about. It's about Belichick. It's about the Patriot dynasty, storylines, and it's Mac Jones. So he's probably gonna win. But
okay, so you're going cash.
But it's trash. It's cash. I'm going to say cash, but it's trash.
Yeah, it's cash and trash.
Yeah.
Anthony, what you got?
Get the hell out of here. This is a serious question. Mac freaking Jones, you're going to look stupid for putting this on the screen in 3 weeks when he looks like a fool and has lost to the Bills twice. All right? Let me tell you.
God,
and everybody's going to say, oh, Mac Jones, that was a flash in the pan, huh? Too bad he got sacked 3 times each game against the Bills and ended up in the dirt and threw 4 interceptions and looks like crap. Looks like the rookie he is because he's not playing the what teams did you mention? Cleveland or Tennessee with nobody and no defense to speak of? Get the heck out of here. New England sucks. Get that through your head, all right? Do they have a good defense? Yes. Do they have a quarterback that fits their scheme? Yes. I'm glad you can beat the Jets and these teams that you're supposed to beat, and you can look and you can be all hyped and you can outlive your expectations. Yes, I admitted that. They surpassed my expectations this year already with 7 wins. Okay, so I give them credit for that, but does not make them all of a sudden some team to be reckoned with. Mac Jones for rookie, I'll take friggin' Pitts over him at this point. I'll take a million guys rookie of the year. Yeah, definitely.
Jamar Chase.
Yes. So many guys. Just pick a team with a rookie.
I tend to agree with Joe, though. It's more the narrative. Look, the NFL wants him to be the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he's a quarterback. That helps.
Right, because is it Belichick or Brady? Now the conversation continues, right? So I hate it, too. Don't worry. But I'll go cash on that. All right, I got one more real quick. Anthony, you're up first. Buffalo Bills will be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. Cash or trash?
Trash and a half. Can I do that? Trash plus more trash plus. I'm the number 1 Bills stan. I'm supposedly the homer. Guess what? You've lost 4 AFC games. You don't deserve the number 1 seed. Period. End of story. I don't care if we win out. We do not deserve the number 1 seed unless it's handed to us because there's so much parity in the NFL right now. But look at Kansas City, the way they're playing right now. Even though we beat them head to head, they could beat us for the number 1 seed because we put ourselves in this position right now. It's just, I don't see it happening. It's sad because there's no question that we should have been. There's no question that we should have been quite easily the number 1 seed after winning in Kansas City and looking at the schedule moving forward. But the fact of the matter is, things happened and we didn't execute. Period. End of story. We lost the number 1 seed. Whoever gets it, you're welcome because the Bills gave it to you.
Going with trash.
It's never, so it's my turn, right? It's never fun to go along with everybody. So somebody has to play devil's advocate, or at least somebody has to be the contrarian. So I'll be the contrarian. So I think if the Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots, I think it's very possible that they could be the number 1 seed. You're talking about a situation where the Chiefs are a little bit exposed. You want to talk about regression? Pat Mahomes is living in regression land. The Titans are all but cooked as far as that goes. If the Bills beat the Patriots this weekend, they could go a long ways into becoming the number 1 seed for all of the AFC, in my opinion. I was the guy that said last year, after the Cardinals lost, the Bills are going to have to win out. I said I find it highly improbable, but they did it. They put it together and they won out through the season. They won their last 8 games. The Bills are in a similar situation this year with this situation. I think if they beat the Patriots on Sunday, they could very well win out and end up as the number 1 seed.
Well, along those lines, and I tend to agree with you, Joe. Who is the number 1 seed? It could go to anybody right now. So I think the Bills are as much in that mix as any other team in the AFC.
But the problem is for the Bills,
this game is the most
we need to
game
finish
of the season,
with a better record.
You got to beat New England, period.
You can't tie any of these teams that are now in the conversation, and we're already playing from behind. We're at the bottom of the stack.
And you
can't tie. You got to go above.
It won't be easy, but the Bills have the guns. The Bills have the horses to do it. So the Bills have the ability.
So let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
I have the simulator all ready to go. Just to show like how important this game is, right?
I like this.
And I do too. This is the ESPN playoff simulator. Great tool. Check it out. Filled in all the non-important games. I got Indy winning. Really, they're not in here right now. They went 6-6, so they're kind of out of it. But really, the 3 games you got to pay attention to this weekend: Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Denver, and then obviously Patriots and Bills.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's go. What did you do here? Okay, so
let's go Baltimore. I just want to show you that these will change as we click the winner. So Baltimore wins this. They're number 1. Win, and they're the number 1 seed headed into week 14. What do you think? Kansas City, go that. Let's go New England just to show the Bills are not in the playoff hunt at that point.
Reality check.
That easy. Reality check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's just switch Patriots and Bills. All the way up to the 3rd seed, just in that win. This game is so huge. This is the game of the season. When you look back on this season, I think you'll say this was the game of the season.
The sad part is it shouldn't have been. The game of the season should have been the Bills-Chiefs game and the Bills-Bucks game.
I say this every year. When we look at the schedule and go through it, don't put yourself in a situation where you have to beat New England because that plays right into their favor. When you try too hard, they want you to make mistakes. I mean, I think it's beneficial. This game's in Buffalo on Monday night. If it was in New England, I would, it'd be a lot tougher in my opinion. But real quick, Steelers have a real chance to win, right?
No.
Bills can go to 2 seed. No,
the way the NFL is going this year, the Steelers they have the ability to win that football game. There isn't a top tier team that wants to win this thing.
And Baltimore's not an over the top good team.
Right.
Right. I mean,
but with Najee Harris, Ben Roethlisberger, that wide receiver core, that Steelers team can win that game.
So let's say Baltimore loses, Kansas City loses, and the Bills lose. The Bills would be the 7th seed.
Wow!
But if
if you lose, that's the best case scenario for them.
If the Steelers win, the Broncos win, and then where does that put the Bills? If the Bills win, they've got to be.
Bills win. I think they shoot up to 2. So how huge of a swing is that, though? Is the point? That's 5 playoff seats. I mean,
from not in the playoffs to 2 seed.
Having home games for 2 games likely,
right?
Versus on the road the entire time, all on this one game. And obviously, the scenarios will play out later in later weeks as well. But this game is so incredibly huge.
There's a lot of football left.
Amazing. Yeah.
For sure. So, thought that was cool to share. Yeah, it's the ESPN playoff simulator. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Let's get more into these Patriots. How about a rookie quarterback redraft? Haven't really talked about this yet up to this point. Is Mac Jones the best rookie quarterback?
Right now he is.
Because he's on the better team.
Right now he is. This to me, I mean, outside of Mac Jones, this to me, I got lambasted like prior to the draft because I was like, I just don't see what other people see in Justin Fields. And like I said, I think before we were either before we came on the air or afterwards. Like I lived in Columbus, Ohio for 13 years. Like my wife is an OSU alum. I just didn't see it in Justin Fields. And then people were like, oh my gosh, you see his stats and these numbers and that numbers. I'm like, he doesn't pass the eye test for me. Zach Wilson clearly has talents. Trevor Lawrence to me doesn't. I don't know, man. Mac Jones looks the best out of this group, but to me, the jury's still out on
It's
all
so
of
tough.
these guys.
It
On
is.
all of these guys.
And
This
how
could
do you
be
measure it? That's what I
This
always
could
wonder.
literally be an E.J. Manuel draft year where not a single quarterback amounted to anything.
But here's the problem I have. You're asking what right now? Oh, Mac Jones, he's really good. Right now. Trevor Lawrence was literally the best talent to ever come in the draft. The most consensus number one pick ever. Everybody knew he was number one. Nobody debated anything.
But
Trevor Lawrence
was
Jesus freaking Christ.
Andrew Luck was better coming out of college than Trevor Lawrence.
I'm talking about the hype and everything. Nobody said
the hype.
Andrew Luck didn't get near. It didn't matter who it was. Trevor Lawrence was number one overall, and no analyst, nobody, no.
Right, the kid was on Sports Illustrated at 14.
Yeah, I mean, everybody said Trevor Lawrence is the guy, and now all of a sudden we're selling him down the river for Mac freaking Jones when Trevor Lawrence plays on the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by a guy who doesn't know his back end from his face, literally, and now you're telling me, oh, Mac Jones, who's got the best offensive line in the AFC in football maybe, and he's playing pretty good, that he's the best? No, go back and listen to the tape of what I said during the draft before this guy was a New England Patriot, and you'll hear me say the same thing right now. Mac Jones has already hit his ceiling. He is who he is. He's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be a bust, but he is who he is. And if you're drafting a quarterback because you need a quarterback, you don't want Mac Jones. You want Trevor Lawrence, potential to be Josh Allen, not a bust or average Joe quarterback. You want Zach Wilson, potential to be, on the level with some of these guys who are superstars. His comparison coming out of the draft was Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson. Maybe I would take that risk if I need a quarterback. Justin Fields even, with Lance even. These were guys that were on the border of, then you have to make that decision. But do they have higher potential where they could be versus Mac Jones? I still believe right here, right now, absolutely all four of them do. They have higher potentials if they have the right coaching, the right situation, the right offensive line, all the weapons. Yeah, all of that. Mac Jones has the best situation of any of these guys right now. There's no question about that.
Trevor Lance is in a pretty good spot with Shanahan.
Right. He's got to play.
Yes, really exactly. But he's not playing. He's only got on the field. So his problem is they have 40 a quarterback.
Snaps or something.
Yeah, they have a quarterback who's playing pretty well this year. And they're winning.
I always wonder how you could measure this a million different ways, but one way I looked at was accuracy on target throws versus off target throws. And Trevor Lawrence has roughly 30 more bad throws than Mac Jones does. And there's a lot of variables that go into that. Screens, things like that, right?
Mac Jones has about 30 more seconds per play to throw the ball than Trevor Lawrence does.
And I think Trevor Lawrence is asked to save the team, throw it deep, get aggressive. And Mac Jones is barely gets aggressive, right? I think he does it and throws people off once in a while, but he's definitely not aggressive at all. He's the most unaggressive quarterback I've seen in a while, to be honest.
Smart. He does make good decisions. He's not like some wild.
They do those delayed screens like we've talked about 100 times. It's in the intermediate game.
The playbook fits him. He's in the best situation. We said this when he was drafted. Like, it's a very Patriots pick because he fits the scheme. He does what they want to do. They want a guy who's not risky, who's not going to make mistakes, because they run on their defense and they just need to do things on offense, basically. That's what they just need to exist and not make mistakes. That's Mac Jones for you. But again, I'm not picking him over any of the other guys on this list if I'm a team that needs a quarterback.
Fair. Leave it at that. Let's go right here. How can the Bills win on offense versus Patriots defense? What you got, Anthony?
There's no question that the strength of the Patriots is their defense, and that the Bills, without Trey White now on defense, they have to step up on offense. I watched the entire New England Patriot Tennessee game as my scouting report for this game. And I've seen, obviously, a bunch of New England plays and things this year. I've watched some of their tape. And I do not understand the hype around the New England Patriots. I don't. I watched that Tennessee game, and I said to myself, this team is just facing another team that's worse than them right now. Like, clearly, they were trying to make mistakes, and they couldn't. They were trying to screw up, and they couldn't. It was just Tennessee didn't want to win that game, to me, more than the Patriots did. And like we said, that kind of plays into their general attitude and their game plan. The Patriots just exist. That's what they want to do. They're good on defense. They're stout. How do you beat the Patriots? play football. Do your thing. Like Joe said earlier, play your game. Don't try and get cute and become the leading rushing team in the NFL because they gave up 200 yards rushing. Get the F out of here. No, don't do that. Don't run the ball 30 times. Don't run the ball 20 times. You have Josh Allen. If you're running the ball, it better be with him. Send 4 wide receivers out there, or 3 in the tight end in the case because we have Knox, Let them do that. Let your offense be your offense. Give Josh Allen time to throw. He's got his offensive line back. Thank you. Mainly Spencer Brown, obviously. That's going to be huge because it's night and day when Spencer Brown is in there. Night and day when, Williams is at guard. It's night and day, basically, right? So now he's got more time to throw. He's got his weapons back. We've had time to heal and get healthy. They're going to be healthy coming into this game. No more excuses. Play your game. I don't care who's in front of you. Your offense is not a run-first team. You pass, maybe run to change it up. Then you pass, run. I don't want to see this stupid, we got to run on first down, maybe second down, then we pass. Don't try to play the Patriots game. I said this going into the Indy game, and it didn't work. They didn't hear me. Sean McDermott wasn't listening, apparently. But now, hopefully, this is what they do. You are not the New England Patriots. Do not try to play their game. They're going to try and possess the ball. They're going to try and run the clock out. They're going to try and hold you and long drives. No, play your game. Score points. Get on the board. Quick offense. No huddle. Get up there, snap the ball, get yardage. Get up there, snap the ball, get more yardage. First down, keep moving until you get points on the board. Finish in the red zone. That's going to be huge against this team. Finish in the red zone. I swear to God, if we kick 3 field goals in 4 attempts, I'm going to explode. I don't even care if the score is, at that point 19-0 or something. You cannot do that. Score touchdowns because our off defense isn't going to be flawless, especially now without Trey White, and they're figuring it out. Their offense is efficient. They can run. They can pass. I expect the Bills to win this game big. And to do that, they have to win on offense. Score. Do not let your foot off the pedal. Do your thing. Don't try and run the ball and get cute. Obviously, you still have to run the ball every once in a while, but don't try and do it all 3 plays and, we ran twice and now it's 3rd and 8 and we get an incompletion and now we got a punt. Don't give me that crap because that is not your game plan going in. Score points. Do what your offense does, period.
The Patriots' opponent average rushing yards per game.
Don't care.
They're 20th in the league. Opponent's average passing yards per game. Patriots are 3rd in the league.
Don't care. It's the Bills. It's our offense. It's our game.
A big reason for that is Matthew Judon. Matthew Judon is having a fantastic year. Spencer Brown will be back for this football game. Feliciano could potentially be back for this football game. Mm-hmm. So Stars back, but I'm talking about on offense. So much to Anthony's point, the reality is if the Bills come into this football game and think that they can run the ball because the Titans did, they're going to be in trouble because
exactly.
Breida and Singletary are not whoever the garbage running backs are that the Titans have because we don't have the same offensive line that the Titans have. And Vrabel just has a different type of mentality and scheme as it pertains to the run game than we have. Now,
and how did that turn out for them, by the way, with 200-yard rushers?
They lost. Right. They lost. So, but at the end of the day, the reality is the Buffalo Bills should come out and do what they're built to do, which is go 5 wide and throw the football all over the field and run a lot of play action and not run the ball, to Anthony's point, because that's who the Bills are and that's how they won last year. Why they're not doing 5 wide this year, I have no idea. Well, teams are playing a cover 2 shell. Well, if you run 5 wide, they're not going to be able to play a cover 2 shell against you. So I don't necessarily know what's going on inside that locker room and inside of that those coaching meetings or why they're doing what they're doing. But at the end of the day, if they're going to win on offense, they're going to abandon the run. And that's the only way they're going to do it.
Yeah, and I think I kind of agree with you. Spread it out. The strength of the Bills is Josh Allen, right? His athletic ability. And I think if you spread the ball out, get him some running room, find the holes, I think that could be the key to the game is Josh Allen rushing the ball.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't even think it has to be, it's not like, okay, get Diggs this many targets or whatever. I don't care. If they cover Diggs well, throw it to Beasley, throw it to Knox. You got to all those guys. We know the Bills are always going to have 8 different guys who catch passes in a game, but it's got to be find the guys who are open, run the plays like Joe said, I want to see 5 wide. I want to see some 4 wide or 4 wide receiver sets with different combinations in there, right? The play action has been working. Great. Use play action if that's what you like to do. That allows you more for Josh Allen to roll out and do his thing that he likes to do when he's loose. Or if they're great and they've dropped cover 2 and they're all in coverage, I like my chances Josh Allen against one pass rusher coming at him, then let him run the ball and he's going to get 10 yards every time. That's the running game I want to see, or the quick pass to Cole Beasley who runs it up for 8 yards or whatever. Just don't play into their script.
All right, it'll be interesting to see what how they approach it, because last season, the first time they played the Patriots, it was very run heavy. It kind of caught them off guard. It was so run heavy, if you remember correctly. Second game was very pass heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's a whole different team. I understand.
And what was that score? Yeah,
this team's better. This New England Patriots team is better than last year. I understand that, but there's 2 completely different game plans, right? And that's how you got to approach this. You're going to play the Patriots in, 2 out of 3 weeks. So you got to be really careful with how you approach it. Very strategic, in my opinion. All right, let's flip it over. Let's go. How can the Bills win on defense? Anthony, back to you.
Show up. That's it. They just have to do what they do, right? Again, we've already talked about it. Yes, Trey White is gone. Yes, that really hurts this defense. Yes, we can't even describe the quantify the measure of losing Trey White in this defense. But this is the perfect matchup where, it's not going to affect them as much because the Patriots simply don't have a super dominant number 1 guy that Trey White would be on and shutting down for the game. And I trust that our defensive backs, as we discussed, can make up for that. The safeties especially, but also Dane Jackson stepping up, making a few plays, doing what he does, maybe getting an interception here or there, being in the action wherever the ball is, coming after the guys who got the ball. I'm not. You mentioned one of the things earlier that we talked about, the threats on offense for New England, if you want to call them that. I don't believe they have any. Their run game stalled against Tennessee. Stalled. It looked bad. I mean, they couldn't get 3 yards when they needed to, and they got more lucky on things like turnovers and penalties than they did on actual plays on the field. Although I give credit to where it's due. Mac Jones did make a few passes that I was like, all right, Mac Jones, that was nice. But you're not going to be that open versus the Bills. Again, the whole thing I saw in the matchup with Tennessee for New England and in other games that I've watched of New England this year, everything they do plays into what the Bills' defensive strength is. Go ahead and try to run the ball on us now that we got our guys back. Now that, everybody's on that D-line. Now that we're finding a stride. Now that they've benched Vernon Butler, for example. Now that Starr is back. Try to run the ball, because the first games of the season when Starr was healthy and our defense was doing its thing, they tried to run on us because that was a script last year. And guess what? We stuffed them and they only got garbage time runs. And I'd like to see New England do that again, because, again, what I saw in the last couple games, their running game is not their strength right now. They rely on it. That's certainly what their offense wants to run through, but it's not being effective. Certainly not. They have not faced a defense like the Buffalo Bills. Everything they do plays into what the Bills defense does well. You want to do short passes? Great. Try short passes against our defense. Our linebackers, our defensive backs, our safeties, come on. I'll take that matchup 10 times out of 10. If you want to throw the ball, I'll take it 10 times out of 10. If you want to run the ball, you've already showed me you can't do that, and we're getting our guys back. Great. You can have 4 first downs and whatever, and then you're going to punt. It's not going to do you well. You might get a few plays here and there. You might even get a touchdown, but guess what? You're not even hanging in this game because our defense is that good and their offense simply is not. Is it efficient? Can they get things done? Sure, but it'll put you to sleep. They're going to probably win the time of possession game because they're going to be running. Like I said, Sean McDermott can't fall into that trap. They're trying to keep our guys out there. The defense just has to show up. Do what you do. Know your position. Matt Milano, you're covering the tight end. Tremaine Edmonds, you're tackling that running back who tries to get around the corner and calling the plays. The safeties, you know what you got to do. Come make a play, cover the extra guy because Trey White's not there. Sean McDermott's going to have this team ready on defense. That's been consistent. And Leslie Frazier, I should give credit to him as well. But, the defense does its thing. There is not one thing on offense that scares me about this New England Patriots team. Not against our defense. Not a chance. 30 points. Are you kidding me? They'll be lucky to put up 13.
Joe, what do you got?
I just need Anthony to breathe.
There. Yeah,
Anthony,
lots to unpack.
Could you breathe, please? Because
No.
I'm not sure that you were breathing there for the last 5 minutes. It's gonna come down to making their team one-dimensional. The question is, what dimension do they want to bite off? And I don't have that answer. And I can see pros and cons for both making them one-dimensional to the pass or one-dimensional to the run. It probably makes sense to make them one-dimensional to the run because Dane Jackson, as we talked about, is a little bit better in run support. And so the hard part is what's more threatening. Is their run game more threatening or their pass game more threatening? And at this point, you got to think that their run game is probably more threatening. Starr's going to be back in this football game. Ed Oliver's been playing like a man with his hair on fire. Vernon Butler, we hope, is not going to be in this football game. We know that Harrison Phillips, as it was reported today, is playing with a torn PCL, right? So he's got a torn ligament in his knee, which is not necessarily great either. How can the Bills win on defense? They're going to have to play their football game. The reality is Fina broke down a play last night on the Off Tackle with John Fina show, and it was an Edmonds play where Edmonds darted towards the sideline on a screen pass, and then basically stopped to wait just a moment to see what the running back was going to do to check his hips. And when he did, the running back took off, and then he ended up catching him. But Fina's point was had he just stayed downhill, and then he just ran downhill and ran through the running back, even if he missed that tackle, there was 3 defenders behind him that would have tackled the running back in the same exact spot. And there's that hesitation type stuff is what has to get fixed on this defense for them to win this football game, in my opinion. But they're gonna do what they can to make them one-dimensional. The question is what dimension are they going to bring them to? I don't have that answer, like I said, but I think they can shut down either side. It's just it's a pick your poison type of the situation, in my opinion, because that offensive line is good, and they're going to have to get home. So they're going to have to put pressure on Mac Jones. They're going to have to confuse Mac Jones. They're going to have to do some things to give him some looks that he hasn't seen yet.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a chess match, and we know the priority of the New England Patriots, right? It's going to be they're going to try to run the ball down your throat every time. You got to prove that you can stop the run with them, right? And their second thing they're going to try to do is they're going to use the intermediate passing game. I know early in the season, through the first 5 weeks, Mac Jones was going at the middle of the field. Recently, in the past few weeks, it's been outside, intermediate of the field on the outside, and that's those delayed screens and things like that, right? He's going to throw 3-yard passes and 4-yard passes. Let him have it. Don't bite, because what we've been seeing is, the safeties come up to try to stop him. They anticipate the tackle, and then Mac Jones will try to throw one pass deep, and he's been hitting some of those. So I think that's just the hierarchy of how you have to play it. Now, do you get aggressive? Here's the debate. Do you get aggressive and try to confuse Mac Jones? He is a rookie. Sean McDermott's defense, Leslie Frazier's defense is designed to confuse quarterbacks. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there. But if you do get aggressive, that plays right into their favor with those delayed screens, right? They're so good at those. And I've just seen this 100 times with the Bills where they rush in there. You think they're going to sack Brady or whatever, and then they just toss it out there and they gain 30.
Can we just go full stop 1 second? Throw up Quentin Backhand's comment about the Bills fans should be nervous.
Yeah, this is nuts to me. I was just about to address this too.
Can we just stop? So full stop for a second. So the reason Bills fans are nervous in this football game is because our offense looks nothing like it did last year. So coming into this season, our expectations were that our defense would return to the 2019 form and we get our 2020 offense, and there's nobody that can stop us. If this offense, the 2021 offense looked like the 2021 offense looked like the 2020 offense, I would not be nervous at all. I would sit here and tell you, and so would you, Quentin Backhand and Patrick Seeley. You'd both be sitting there going, there's no way the Patriots can win this football game. Because if the Bills look like they looked last year with that 2019 defense, which is what they have in 2021, this is a totally different football game. The reality is I don't know what we're going to see from this football team on offense. The defense is going to do its part, right? We can all agree on that. Regardless of what you think about the Patriots defense versus the Bills defense is just as good, if not better than the Patriots defense. It comes down to the offense. Now, if you're going to put your chips in the middle of the table on the Patriots offense or the potential of the Bills offense, which way are you going?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, right? Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox. Those are the guys you're betting on. You're not betting on whoever the Patriots have on offense.
Precisely. And this is let me get on my pedestal for a minute, because I'm sick and tired of Bills fans being afraid of the Patriots. Stop it. Bill Belichick is not a god. Tom Brady is long gone. We got that monkey off our back in game one against the Patriots last year. It was scary. It came down to a last-minute play. But guess what? We came out on top, and we realized that the bully is dead, that they are gone, that they are nothing to be afraid of anymore. Because guess what happened the next game we played them? We whooped their freaking butts. Yep. And yes, this team isn't the same team as last year. Good, because now they have a rookie quarterback, and now they're playing this Bills defense that's not the same as last year. Stop being afraid. Be logical, people. Stop it. All the nonsense I'm hearing from people on Cover One, from people on Twitter, from Bills fans, from media people. Stop it. The Bills are the better team every single way you look at it. Period. Full stop. End of story. There is no way anybody should be picking the Patriots to win this game. So what? They're the hottest team in football. So what? They come in. We understand the circumstances. We're educated on this team. No Star, no Tremaine Edmonds. They're all coming back. No Spencer Brown. He's coming back. Now tell me any logical way that somebody would pick the New England Patriots over the Buffalo Bills at home other than I'm afraid of the New England Patriots, because there isn't. There's no excuse for it. I'm sick of it. It's over. It's done. It's dead. Stop picking the Patriots. When we win by 30 in both of these games, all of you are going to look silly. And I'm telling you right now that that's what's going to happen. The Bills are going to dominate this Patriots team because they are better than them in every way, shape, and form. That is it. End of story. The team is good. The team is better. There is nothing the Patriots can do to become better than this Buffalo Bills team. Go Bills. We are going to beat them. Stop being afraid. Stop it, because you sound crazy. Be logical. Look at the roster. Look at the position. We just went through it. The Bills are better on defense. The Bills are better on offense. That's it. We are going to win this game.
Yeah, I want Bills agents in those hotel rooms. That's what we need. We need some documentaries.
I would gladly give the pep talk.
Anyway, that was a fantastic ending. I wish our show was on Friday, headed into the weekend. That would have been perfect. But we still have a full week, 6 days until the game. So
yeah,
let that settle for a while. Anthony, why don't we finish up with your 5 for 5, and then we'll get out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with my 5 for 5 this week. We're coming off a pretty disappointing week, 1-4 last week. Only my third losing week of the season. Pretty bad, 1-4, not good. A couple of close ones there. Oh, man, what a couple of tough losses, really close in terms of the points, not in terms of the spread or in terms of the games. But we're coming at you this week. I want to win all 5 this week. Let's go 5 for 5. And we're going to start it out with the Ravens -4 versus Pittsburgh at home. Pittsburgh completely trending in the wrong direction. The Ravens keep looking like they're strong. I know this is a division rivalry. It's close. That's why it lands at number 5 on my list. Always close, but the Ravens have to win this game by more than 4. That's my number 5 pick for this week. My number 4 pick of the week is the Rams -10, big number, but versus Jacksonville. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, the Rams seem like they want to bounce back. They're going to have a big game here. Jacksonville's the team to do it against. I like that matchup for them. I'll take the Rams -10. My third pick of the week is the Arizona Cardinals -7 versus the Chicago Bears. Talk about one of my upsets that I was angry about last week. It was the Bears in the red zone, taking a knee 3 times and then kicking a field goal to win the game by 2 points instead of trying to get the touchdown. That to me was unbelievable. I mean, I felt like I ate a whole turkey before dinner watching that game. What a snoozer that was. But yeah, so I'm taking Arizona -7 over Chicago. I think they win that one pretty easily. My number 2 pick of the week, ladies and gentlemen, is the Buffalo Bills -2.5 against the New England Patriots. This is highway robbery, ladies and gentlemen. -2.5 at home versus New England Patriots. Why? Because they have the better record? I'll take that all day long. The 49ers are my big bet team of the week at -3 versus the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think you could have 2 teams trending in different directions at this point in the season. Seattle Seahawks falling flat on their face on Monday Night Football, looking like they don't know what's happening. Coach and quarterback having it out. The 49ers contending, slowly creeping up in the NFC, becoming the Super Bowl team that I predicted them to be. So make them my big bet of the week. Let's recap again those 5 for you. Let's go 5 for 5.
The Ravens -4 versus Pittsburgh. The Rams -10 versus Jacksonville. The Arizona Cardinals -7 versus Chicago. The Bills -2.5 versus New England. And the 49ers -3 versus Seattle.
I got to put this up. Anthony predicting the future, folks. Bills win on Monday night, 5 for 5, win some money. Check it out. It's creepy how much you look like this guy.
I know it's my doppelganger.
I forget his name, but he's the Hamilton.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes,
yeah, I get it all the time.
And
I get it all the time.
And he sounds like Chris Brown.
Chris Brown wishes he was this passionate. That's for sure.
Chris Brown is pretty passionate, bro. Thank you.
He's a professional, no doubt.
Yeah.
And he's got a good last name. Must be trustworthy. Anyway, Joe, been great. Thank you for joining us. Great to see you. I know it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Thanks for
Maybe
joining
you
us,
could tell our audience where they can find all 4 of your shows.
Ugh. So you can find me primarily on Buffalo Rumblings, which is a I don't know what the word is, another network that provides Buffalo Bills creative content, independent creative content, alternative creative content. I don't know. So but I'm on the Buffalo Rumblings multicast, vidcast, podcast network. So I do 4 shows. My primary show is the Overreaction post game show. That actually airs after post games, generally on Sunday nights at 9:00 unless we're in prime time. So you can actually watch the Cover One post game show with Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn, and then wait until 9:00 and watch my show. Come back and watch my show. Generally speaking, now this week we're going to compete, so I'm going to be head to head with them. I'm going to be head to head with Rico. Everybody that's doing a post game show built in Buffalo, we're all going to be doing it at the same time this week, which sucks, but it is what it is. But I do 4 shows. That's my primary show. I do a pregame show or a kind of a prediction show called Time to Shine, where you, the fan, I provide the link to basically do what we're doing right here. And you can click the link and actually join me in the program and give me a stat prediction, Josh Allen stat line, and a hot take. Monday night, Off Tackle with John Fina, former Buffalo Bills offensive tackle through the Super Bowl years, is on Monday nights, where John breaks down basically what happened in the last game, which that's a fun show. And then the Hump Day Hotline is on Wednesday nights with myself and Jay Spencer King. So it's been a blast, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Any bold predictions for the game, for the Monday night game right here on the Hoof?
It's going to be cold, and they're going to play football.
The defense will show up, Anthony.
Yeah, they'll show up. Final score, 31-13 Buffalo. Let's go.
If the defense shows up, in my opinion, the Buffalo Bills, there's no way they lose this football game.
Exactly.
If the defense shows up and it's not a shootout, if it's a shootout, it could go either way.
Shootout? Who's shooting?
I'm just saying.
They got somebody back there? They got LeBron James or something?
Two football teams put 30 points on this defense. So, and they did it on the ground, FYI.
Yeah, if the Bills can stop the run or limit the run, they win. That's
right.
And turnovers, that's always a huge factor in games. It's easy to say that. That's why, we don't talk about it much, but you limit the turnovers, you limit
New England's number 1 in turnover ratio.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, they're the best team at making turnovers. You got to limit it.
Don't make mistakes. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week, the day after the Monday night game, and we will have all the recap for you Tuesday at 9 on the Cover One YouTube channel. We'll see you then.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.